So do you,
You're live now.
great. And would you like to make me a co-host, please, so I can control things from my end also?
Okay, you should be all set,
All right,
Counselor.
awesome. Yep, I am. All right, so we'll get this thing going. It's 6 o'clock, so welcome everyone to this evening of August 24th, 2021 City Council meeting. I can't believe the summer's almost over, but anyway, in the interest of the government transparency in regarding the deliberations and decisions made by the City Council and according to open meeting law, since this meeting was posted as a Zoom meeting, this meeting will be recorded by video and audio and will be conducted by remote participation. Additionally, all votes taken by the City Council during this and future remote meetings will be by roll call vote. If you are calling in on a phone, you can press *9 to request to speak. And if you are watching on a computer or device, there is a raise hand button that you can tap or press to request to speak. Please use either of these options during oral communications and the public hearing to be recognized to speak. In attendance this evening, I'm going to go what I see on my screen from the upper left down to my lower right. We have Councilor Barry Pett, we have Councilor Steve LeBlanc, we have Councilor Melissa Cox, Councilor Val Gilman, Councilor Scott Memhard, Councilor John McCarthy, Councilor Sean Nolan, and I'm sure Councilor O'Hara will join us shortly. Councilor Holmgren is not with us this evening. She has a meet and greet over at O'Malley School with her daughter, so she's not going to be with us this evening. Also in attendance this evening, we have our police chief, Ed Conley. We have our CFO, John Dunn. We have our city solicitor, Chip Payson. And we have our city auditor, Kenny Costa, and also our IT director, Ryan Knowles. Hold on one second. Let me check to see our attendees. And that's it for city staff. Madam, I'm going to call you Madam Clerk. We have our assistant, Madam Clerk. Can we have the next order of business, please?
That would be oral communications.
All right, so under oral
Mr. President?
communications. Oh, hold on. What's that, Barry?
I just wanted to interject here. As it comes up, later on, there's a public hearing scheduled.
Hold on a
Or-
second, Barry. Let's get to the consent agenda first.
Okay.
Give me 2 more
I
minutes.
just thought somebody might, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
2 more minutes. So we have oral communications part of the meeting right now. So under oral communications, the public shall have the opportunity at every regularly scheduled meeting to be heard under oral communications on matters not appearing on the agenda. Oral communications shall allow any resident who has a request or a complaint of any nature relative to city business to appear before the council, state their problem without debate, and the matter shall be referred to the proper agency through the office of the mayor. The resident will be notified within 2 weeks prior relative to disposition of same, and a copy shall be forwarded to the city council. Persons speaking under oral communications shall be limited to 3 minutes each, and the council president shall not allow any complaints as to individual performance. So if you are calling in on a phone, you can press *9, and if you're watching on a device or whatever you're watching it on, there is a raise hand button. So if anybody would like to speak under oral communication, now's the time to do it. Raise hand button or *9 if you're calling in. All right, going once, oral communications. Going twice. All right. Madam Clerk, next order of business, please.
The next order of business is presentations, commendations, a presentation by the IT director regarding hybrid meeting planning and IT assessments.
Thank you. All right, Ryan, you have the floor, bud. How's things going?
They're going well. If could have a couple fewer telephone poles and trees come down, take my fiber down, it would be even better. But we're doing well. Can't complain. So I don't know if all of you actually received the memo that I had put together. Let me just share my screen quickly, just in case. So this was a memo I put together. It's pretty straightforward. I think that as we've seen, I know that I came in kind of post-pandemic, kind of maybe in the middle of pandemic. So, I mean, the gist of the memo is, obviously during the COVID-19 pandemic, we needed to have regular city business continue, and Zoom allowed us to do that. And it has continued to allow us to do it as we all are sitting here tonight, as well as obviously the legislation that was passed by Massachusetts state government and kind of consequently extended. So for tonight, I did want to note that obviously with the rise in cases that stem from the Delta variant, obviously is a concerning development. And I know that it kind of has thrown a wrench into more than just our kind of individual city and municipal plans, but I think that obviously has thrown wrenches into all sorts of plans. But as far as in talking to the administration and talking with them, I know that they want to remain committed to allowing for the return to in-person meetings as of 9/15/21. I know that obviously in terms of procedures, mandates, and that sort of thing, that's not what I'm speaking on tonight. I'm not speaking for the administration. What I'm kind of speaking to you briefly about is here's what we have in place to allow that to happen and to allow any questions or comments that you might have in that sense. With all this being said, obviously we're going to remain nimble. We're going to remain light on our feet and able to pivot on short notice, as we always are, to allow all of you to continue to do this. If we need to go back to full Zoom or whatever may happen in the next couple months, we're ready and we're available and we're ready to meet these challenges, whatever they may be. So with that being said, can all of you see this presentation that I've got here?
Yes, we can.
Can you still see it?
Yep.
Great. So the basic idea just is that our primary meeting spaces that we've identified are Kairou's Auditorium, obviously, the City Council chambers on the first floor in City Hall, the Friend Room in the Sawyer Free Library, Harbor Master Meeting Room, which is in the new building there, the CADA Meeting Room, which is on the first floor of the City Hall Annex, and then the Rose Baker Senior Center, which I think is as yet kind of undefined exactly where that is, but obviously they have a large number of spaces in there. With those in mind, we have obviously the considerations of scheduling after hours access, because most of these places are city buildings and they are not typically open at the time that we may have these meetings. Custodial coverage, because we might make a mess. People need to use the bathroom, etc. The technological capabilities of these rooms, and then the actual capacity thereof in them. So one solution that I did want to make all of you aware of in terms of scheduling, because I think that is really one of the pieces that we're going to run into that we have maybe in the past, or as well as going forward may run into some issues with. The solution that I would love to try to implement is our Google Workspace, our Google Calendar. What this really allows us to do is to create physical spaces as kind of quote unquote assets that can be booked by both employees, city employees, as well as citizens. The physical spaces have their own dedicated calendars. So there could be a Kairou's Auditorium calendar. In fact, there already is one of those, but City Council chambers, Harbor Master Meeting Room, we can call them something specific. They have their own calendars so that you can't go and, add 10 events on top of one another. It will tell you there's a conflict, so you can't double book it. The bookings are created as events, like a Google Calendar event, like you may import into your own private calendars. And attendees can then add these events to their own calendars for tracking reminders. You can even add Zoom details and say, this is, we may have a Zoom meeting, whatever it may be, or just here's the time, here's the place, here's directions on how to get there. It will tell you to leave, time to leave to get there on time, for example, as maybe you've experienced with Google Calendar. And then finally, all these spaces can be set up with approvers to ensure that orderly booking procedures are followed. So it's not just going to be a free for all where anyone can book any room anytime they want. We can say for the Harbor Master booking room, it is the Harbor Master's admin assistant or whoever we decide, in concert with the administration. These are the folks who can approve a booking. So you can request a booking, but it won't necessarily be approved until there's kind of an approval step. So it's not going to kind of, again, just be a free for all. So just briefly, here's some information on each of these spaces. Kairou's, which I'm sure that you are all well familiar with. I barely need to go through this, but obviously access is with the City Hall front entrance. We have DPW custodial there. Technological capabilities. There is Wi-Fi there. There is some wired Ethernet there, obviously, but we have some distance issues there, really mostly Wi-Fi. We have a projector and a screen, which I know the projector is functional, but it really needs an update, which I can work on if that's something that we'd like to use. There is an AV system there, audio video, and 1623 can broadcast from that location along with a PA system. I know that Councillor Cox, as well as others, have noted that the audio is very difficult to hear on the 1623 broadcast, and I've raised this to 1623, and I think that we have a good avenue to fix that in advance. I think I know what is wrong with it. I just need to get in there with someone from 1623 to actually test it and ensure that it's going to work without blasting everybody's ears out who's in the room and still having people at home not really be able to hear. So we have Kairos. The council chambers and city hall, again, I'm sure you're well familiar. It's in the city hall front entrance with DPW. We have technical capabilities of obviously Wi-Fi in there. We can audio record with our SonicClear, which is mostly through the clerk's office. There's currently no screen in there, but I do in my own office have a very large TV screen. If we needed one for presentations, we would probably need to coordinate with DPW or something to actually get it there physically. But it is not something that I use it mostly for testing and that kind of things. And I'm glad to kind of have it be there if we need something for presentations, we need something. And the capacity, again, I'm kind of from being in there 10 to 15 people probably. We have the friend room at the Sawyer Free Library. It's accessed via the SFL lower entrance with DPW custodial. There's Wi-Fi there, both public as well as Civic Gloucester. We can access that. We have a television in the room. I've coordinated with Stephen there and confirmed that we do have that capability in that room. And again, the capacity is probably 25 to 30. We could probably expand it a little bit depending on the configuration of the tables in there, but we have that as a possible. And we've talked with Jenny there in the library. And that will be one that we need to coordinate a bit with Jenny and the folks at the library to make sure that that can be booked, because they are kind of on their own version of Google, but it's not an insurmountable problem by any means. The Harbor Masters meeting room, access is relatively easy via keypad entry. Custodial, we need to figure out, because I think that right now TJ cleans that room / bathrooms if people mess them up. But we may need to kind of coordinate so that's not all on them. Technological capabilities there are Wi-Fi again. There's a large television in that room, and the capacity is again probably in the range of 15 to 20 people, maybe a little bit less than that one. CADA meeting room, which is down in the first floor in the City Hall Annex. So we have the CADA front door as well as CADA kind of quote unquote CADA for custodial. So we may need to work a little bit. Chris Siguranza and I have spoken to folks from CADA, and they have said that that is not a problem for us to use that, which is good. I think that we just want to make sure that we're respecting the space and we're providing some sort of, we're not leaving them messes or food or extra things to clean up, and them letting us use that space. Technological capabilities there. We can access, we have Wi-Fi access that will pass down from the top floor of the City of Gloucester. The guest access does reach that room. It's not the greatest because it's kind of going through a floor, but it is possible. They have a TV screen. I think they have a podium microphone. In terms of, I'm talking about the big room that's kind of in the back, if you've ever been down there. It's, again, capacity probably 40 to 50 people. And finally, Rose Baker. Obviously, Rose Baker front door with DPW custodial. The technological capabilities in Rose Baker are a little bit, what I would call a little bit, they're not quite probably where they need to be in terms of doing presentations and stuff. There's not really any large screens for presentation video. They do have some televisions there. The Wi-Fi there is also, depending on where you are in the building, is a little bit spotty. And that the only way to really fix that is by rewiring the building, which is something I'm working on, but is not currently, as of today, something that is really, really strong in all parts of that building. Depending on if you're near the admin offices, it's not bad. If you're kind of in the back corner, it's a little bit questionable. And again, the capacity, we have multiple spaces in there, so we need to think about which one we're actually using. So I wanted to just run through that relatively quick and just open the floor for any questions. Again, procedural kind of, what are we doing? Do we have to wear masks? What, all of those pieces, those are really questions that I would want you to direct toward the administration. I'm not making those decisions, and I'm more presenting you with what our capabilities are and what's available.
All right, do we have any councilor questions? Councilor Gilman and Councilor Cox.
we take down the
Yes,
presentation?
of course.
Thank you, Counselor. I just wanted to mention also that Counselor O'Hara showed up before the presentation. So I have a question about the live presentations that we're able to do because of the connectivity with 1623.
Mhm.
And it's my understanding, Ryan, that we currently have that capability just for Kairos and not for the other locations. Yet this whole hybrid idea is really important, I think, not only to us, but for citizens of Gloucester. So I'm just wondering if you could, based on what you understand right now, if you could just explain how close we are to the possibility of having the fiber optics, whatever it is, from a technological standpoint to allow meetings to be live at any of these other locations, and how close, what it is we have to do to add to that, if you are.
Sure. So one really nice possibility that we can look into, rather than necessarily going full hybrid and saying people are going to be able to kind of interact back and forth, because I think that presents some real challenges, and just in terms of how do you make it happen in the rooms. There's a capability of having a meeting stream via a Zoom meeting, similar to this. It wouldn't be kind of the Brady Bunch heads on screen. It would be more like a camera view of the entire room, with the capability of then, if someone has a presentation on a computer, being able to do what I just did and share the screen and have that live stream. It would be actually via 1623's. I think from what I understand and speaking with them, it would be via their YouTube stream. So it would be something that people with an internet connection could access that way. And so that's something that would not be a large technological hurdle. It would actually mostly be administrative, making sure that all of the pieces were set up correctly between City of Gloucester and 1623, and making sure that we had a kind of connection between a camera in the room as well as 1623 streaming it. So I actually have cameras that I can stream it with. So that isn't an insurmountable obstacle.
So that's something that we can kind of just keep working with them on.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's something that I would love to work with.
Rockport and Manchester to see what that capability is. And it sounds like they're doing a good partnership with some of our neighbors. I just want to make sure that we are continuing to do that with them, because I think they offer some technology enhancements that we could benefit from.
Yeah,
So that
absolutely.
That was my question, and I have a second question, but I'll wait to share the floor.
All right, Councilor Cox?
I appreciate the effort and everything into this, and I love the fact that we're finally discussing this, 2 weeks before we go back into a live meeting. Have you worked through the administration and requested ARPA money for some improvements to our space, such as ventilation, the screen? This is more than just access anymore, public access. And I know that's why you're here tonight, is to discuss your findings for trying to do a hybrid solution. But going back live, the building, it's not just about access to me, but I think we have enough money to be able to purchase a screen for the first floor conference room instead of transporting it back and forth from your office to the first floor. I think it would be a benefit to have a screen in that room for presentations and so on, but that's my
So
opinion.
just to clarify, that it would not be going back and forth, and it was originally purchased, I believe, by my predecessor for that room. So it's not a like you're taking the screen that I use for all this stuff away. I believe it was originally purchased for that room, and it would not be something that I'd say, I need it back after the next meeting. It would go there and it would stay there.
Okay, I was not clear
Sure.
on that. And as far as the custodian, it's not just cleaning up after the meetings, it's cleaning up in between the meetings that I'm concerned about. So just things, and I know that's not to your point, Ryan, but it just for our overall encompassing conversation for later in the meeting is, going back live and having a lot of other boards and commissions going back live to in-house meetings. It's about the sanitization and the ventilation and other things in our spaces. So.
Yeah, and
But-
absolutely. And I don't want to speak out of turn toward those things because those are things that are a little out of my specific wheelhouse. But I think that they are worthy considerations for sure.
And so you're pretty comfortable on the 15th that we're going to be able to move this forward into a hybrid situation? I mean, it's 2 weeks away.
Yeah, so I think so. As far as I understand it, I don't know what the status of having a true hybrid situation is. As far as I know, from what the administration, what Frank and Chris and the mayor have spoken to me about, I believe that they want to go to in person with kind of what as close as to what it had been in the past. In terms of, again, the specifics of that is not a call I am making. That is something that they've communicated to me and said can be planned looking towards that. And so that's the kind of extent of my, I guess, words and ability to say something about it. So I don't want to,
Right.
seem as though I'm trying to dodge a question, but I
understand that you report to the administration, but it's our meetings, and I feel like we don't have enough say in how this plays out. So not on you at all. Thank you.
Hold on, John, before we get over to you. Melissa, we do, obviously, we're not controlled by the administration. We're our own group. So we can go back to in-person meetings when we as a council feel comfortable. The 15th is something that the administration has set forward for boards and commissions. We are outside the boards and commissions. And
What is the state law? I thought we had until the 15th in order to go back in person with our meetings because of the governor lifting his restrictions.
I'd have to find out. Chip's on. Chip, could you?
Yeah, no, they extended it to, I think it's actually April of next year.
All right.
So the 15th of September comes up because there was a 90-day window that the
Yeah.
governor was, but the legislature, the bill they passed gave it, so it's like till April of 2022. So it's a ridiculously long amount of time. So
No,
Yeah,
it's
so-
not.
So we'll have another council discussion on whether we go back live or not. And also I spoke with the administration the other day. They are going to purchase plexiglass to put in between each station. So when we do go back live, or whatever board and commission decides to go back live, there will be a divider in between each station. And I thought it was a good idea just because who knows how long this is going to be around for, or when it's going to come back, or whatever is going to happen in the future. I think it's just a good idea to purchase them. We have CARES Act money, and we may as well spend some of it on the auditorium where it's needed.
If I may,
Oh.
hold on, John, one sec. If I may make a recommendation, Ipswich has a beautiful auditorium that they use for their meetings, and they have individual desks that are on rollers that can be moved out of the way. If we're going to invest money into City Hall, I would really love to see something being done about the dais and making it mobile. That would be a huge investment. And then there's no wasted plexiglass, which you guys all know how I feel about plastic. But we would have mobile desks, and each of us would have a desk. And regardless of whatever board or commission uses the space, but then they can be rolled out of the way. So if we're going to truly invest in in that space, we need to think about the bigger picture and really move forward with some changes in that. You guys know how bad it is on Middle Street Walk or events where that dais just gets in the way.
I think that's a really good request to the mayor.
You
Put it in,
think?
put it in as, yeah, I think it's a really, I'm with you. I don't blame you. It sounds, I mean, it's old school where we're at, but
Yeah.
we're not old school no more. We got to get with the times. So,
I agree.
yeah. John, did you have something to, John Dunn? Did you have something to say real quick before we go to Council McCarthy?
Yeah, just real quick. I just want to remind everybody that there is a fairly large City Hall renovation project that is moving along. We don't have definitive plans yet. But, there is going to be, when we start doing that, just about every office is going to have to move out of its current location and probably go up to Kairos for a while. So we have to kind of keep that in mind. So whatever the council thinks that they would like to see in the future, then that has to kind of go into this whole plan for the City Hall project, which is going to be a multi-year project. So my comment, bye now.
Even more reason to have mobile space up there. So
Yes.
I'll get pictures and put it with the order. So there's a show and tell process there.
Awesome. All right, thanks, John. Council McCarthy.
Yes, for Ryan, just to clarify,
Mhm.
right now and on the 15th, are we going to be 100% able to hold hybrid meetings? That's my question. I think that there may be some of the public with this Delta variant around that are compromised, and I don't think that it would be fair. And I'm not trying to debate this now. I'm just trying to get an answer whether we can count and on being 100% hybrid on the 15th.
So technologically, yes, except for Kairos would be a little bit challenging just because of the space and the audio, and the size of the space is challenging, even though given the capabilities in there. But with that being said, again, Steve's point being an important distinction here, you all as a city council can make your own decision. You're not bound by the same rules as the boards, commissions, and committees. But that decision, I think, in terms of full hybrid or not, is again not something that's in my hands in terms of making that decision. So I am, if it is a decision that we want to do, I am glad to support it and can. But I am not going to make that decision for anybody at the moment.
And I'm not asking you to, Ryan. All I was asking is what it would take to have Kairos be 100% functioning as a hybrid location.
Kairos
Maybe a time frame.
Yeah, so Kairos would take substantial improvements that would be fairly expensive. Probably I actually got a quote earlier this year for it in the ballpark of about $80,000. And in speaking some to John and speaking some to others, thinking about how and where we want to move forward, and I know that as John has said, we're looking at a large city hall renovation, and that whole project kind of coming up. So do we want to spend that money right now to make all these improvements and then maybe have to pull a bunch of them out or reconfigure a whole bunch of them while we do the renovation and then put them all back in maybe for additional funds? I think I want it to be a respectful steward of whether it's ARPA funds or whatever the funds may be. I think that's coming from somewhere, and I want to be a respectful steward of those funds and use them strategically. So Kairos is challenging because of the size of the space, and the actual wiring capabilities in there are, as it's a very old space, and there's just not many places to both actually plug things in for electricity, but then also for things like connectivity. There's just not that much in there.
And that would be the only large space that we have available to us, and it's not capable presently
Of true hybrid. No.
Okay, thank you.
All right, hold on one second, Val, before we get to anybody else have any council questions before we circle back to Val? All right, Council Gilman.
Thank you. So I've got two thoughts. First of all, I see Melissa Texera is here. The school committee, working with Grant Harris, has kind of a hybrid model that they've now implemented to have live meetings. And what they've done is, from what I understand, I haven't seen it visually, but from my understanding is that they're still using their laptops for their photos, like Zoom. And then what they're doing is that they're muting them so there's not interference with a common microphone. And it just seems to me as if that's a possibility, because personally, I think it's really important that we really start to think about ways to get back in person. But I think we also have to be very sensitive to folks that might have some immune systems that are concerned about it. So I think the hybrid model is really important. So I just wanted to comment on that. And then the other thing I wanted to say is that at Essex Tech, we have a really sophisticated hybrid system where we all have our own microphones and a private workstation that do move around. And Joe Marino is actually the IT person that kind of heads that up as a good person to collaborate with, because I think that they've really pulled that together. And typically there's usually 2 members of a 21-person school committee that calls in remotely, and maybe 10 people from the public just to call in and maybe to participate in public comments. And so it's kind of a nice hybrid model, and it doesn't seem to be all that expensive for the size of us that attend. So just a couple of things I just wanted to float around, but I think we really need to think of this hybrid model. And to John McCarthy's concerns, I think the larger the space, the better it is for us to stay as socially distanced as possible. I'm really not very comfortable going back to a small room like our old first floor conference room right now for subcommittee meetings, because that is just way too close. And, you know, we used to pack in those little seats and everybody would be sitting like this. And this is like the Delta variant right now. I think that we have to be very cautious of how quickly we move forward. But having said that, I really want to be as creative as we can to look at how others are doing this so we can really move ahead and be flexible. So anyway.
And to be clear too, technologically, with the exception of Kairos, I know that you just referenced Kairos as a specific space, but with the exception of Kairos, it's not that difficult. I'm not saying that this is insurmountable. There's no way we could do it. We could do it, but I don't want to. Again, I'm not making that decision myself. I'm here to support whatever the decision may be on the part of the administration for boards, commissions, and committees, not for obviously all of you. So you know, if there's some way, you know, I am happy to support, because this is my job, whatever technological solutions that we want to implement, and I am confident that I can do it and my team can do it. With that being said, I want to make sure that I'm just consistent with the messages and what we're doing. And the message that I've heard is that we are in person on the 15th, and I haven't heard the word hybrid. So I don't, that is again the consistency that I want to maintain. I don't want to say something out of turn and have it, you know, go out that guess what we're doing on the 15th, you know, because the IT director said it. Because you know, I think that that's an important distinction.
Thank you.
All right, Councilor Pat.
Yes, just a suggestion to Ryan. Tracy Arabian is the current president of the Gloucester Rotary Club, and she's also, like she's the IT person up at Senior Care. And we started today our Rotary meetings as being hybrid. We did both live in person and via Zoom. And we did it we meet at Cruzport, which is a facility that has some, you know, there's technology there, we're able to spread out, et cetera. But I'm just just letting you know that there was somebody here in the city that, moved forward today. Today was our first try at it. They're going to make some improvements to it, but maybe if you get a chance, give Tracy Arabian a call up at Senior Care, and you could discuss, what she went through, and maybe it'll help in as you try to develop some of these models for us in the city.
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you, Barry. Any other council questions? Councilor Nolan?
Ryan, thank you for the presentation. We got a little bit sidetracked with questions of whether we're doing the 15th or not. That's something that hasn't come up in front of us as council. We are very independent on that. I do, however, understand the fact that you've stressed on numerous occasions that the Kairos Auditorium is not the North Shore Voc or SSA Cultural. It's old. We do have limitations there, and it's going to be expensive. Same as the Cruise Port's modern. The Kairos Auditorium is old, and I hear you loud and clear, and I understand, and thank you for your time tonight.
Thank you, Sean. Yeah, I agree with Sean. It's just an old building. If you guys can picture sitting at the dais and looking up at the balcony, you can see all the wires that have been run alongside the balcony to the cameras, and I just don't know where else we'd put. And to be honest with you, I mean, talking to our city solicitor, I have the decision whether we go back live or hybrid or whatnot. I want this to be a council decision, not my decision. And honestly, as of today, I don't see us going back live the rest of the year. That's just me personally, but we will have another conversation moving forward to see how things go in maybe a month or so. So Grace, maybe you want to put that on the agenda next month. First meeting of the month, we'll have another discussion on where we stand as a council discussion moving forward with in-person meetings. Like I said, I want everybody's opinion on this. We had a really good discussion on it a couple weeks ago, and I take that to heart. I don't want to put anybody in a position where they don't want it, they don't feel comfortable. Some people have different opinions on being vaccinated or on being not vaccinated, or being in person, or I don't want to put anybody in a position where that they feel uncomfortable or that they've been put in a position to be uncomfortable. So we'll make the moving forward as a council live together. So I just want everybody to know that. And like I said earlier, we're independent. We can go live or we can stay remote as long as we want, or until we're forced to go back live. So any other questions, Councilor Cox?
You say that we're independent, but we're not, because the part of this discussion that we're having tonight is whether or not Ryan is given the authority to address our request to have hybrid situations where we can have those meetings. So the public has basically begged us to make sure that that's the case when and if we go back live. We're independent on whether or not we go back live until April now, I guess, but we are not independent in the choices that are made for that building and what the public is asking for us to do for them. So I would love to see some more cooperation and information shared with us as to what Ryan is directed to research and move forward with. I mean, my time here is limited, but we have a responsibility not only to provide a healthy workspace for us, but a safe place for people to go view. And if they choose to not go and view that, we have proven that these Zoom meetings are wonderful and a great resource. So I agree that we are independent to a certain point, but as far as this department head making decisions on what we are being asked to do for the public, we are not independent, we are hamstringed. So just my.
When I mean independent, I mean by the September 15th date. That's all I mean.
Well, I know, but we're, now
Yeah.
that we know that that's not the case, it's, I mean, and we can't expect Ryan to even if he was given the go on this, supplies are dwindling. We don't even know. So if Ryan was told you have $1 million, set up Kairos and the rest of the city with hybrid situation, it might not be ready by April because of the fact that the supply chain is so dysfunctional right now. So, I mean, I just would like to see more of us be part of the decision-making or input.
Right.
So,
Yeah, so I mean, we're not the only group that gathers up at the auditorium. There are several other groups, major players in the game for the city. So I think the Kairos should definitely be set up for hybrid. It's a no-brainer that it has to be moving forward, has to be, but that's up to the administration. And I'll reach out to the administration this evening and copy the counselors or first thing tomorrow morning and request that it be set up as hybrid. You know, we keep hearing this is the new norm. Well, this is the new norm. Hybrid's going to be the new norm. You know, people, we've had the discussion where more people have been in attendance with these remote participation meetings than we've ever had. And I think moving forward, it's the new norm. I would definitely feel more comfortable not being a city councilor, but being as a resident, where if I've got a family that I have to take care of this evening, where I can log on and pay attention to the meeting, but still do my things at home and still participate. That's just, you know, it's amazing to be able to do that. So I think moving forward that the Kairos is definitely going to have to be set up for, and I don't know how much CARES Act money we have out there, but I know I've talked to the administration the other day, and there's a few bucks. So I'll reach out, and I don't want to put anything on Ryan. He's just the messenger. So I think we as a council would reach out to the administration to make sure this is set up for the future. Councilor Gilman. Oh, you're on mute, Val.
Sorry.
Okay.
I want to apologize to Ryan. Ryan, I was not name dropping these other people, not thinking that you don't have, you know, a very strong technical background on all this. So please don't think that that was my intention. I was just trying to think out of the box about other venues and how people seem to be making do with the possibility of hybrid with a less than perfect technology. And that was my intention. So I just wanted to let you
Yeah.
know.
No, and I appreciate it.
I said it, so
Yeah,
I just.
and I hope I didn't in turn come back and as though I'm like, I know everything, I don't need your help. You know, I certainly apologize. I certainly appreciate it, you know, and it's my greatest ideas are not ones that I sat in my office coming up with. They're ones that I did collaboratively with other people. So, you know, that we're stronger when we work together, I think. So
Yeah, we respect your knowledge. Thank you.
All right, if there's no more councilor questions, we'll wrap up the presentation.
I'm just
All right.
surprised he knew who the Brady Bunch were.
We're the Brady
I
Bunch.
am.
All right, Ryan, we appreciate your time this evening. Thanks,
No problem.
Val. All right, Madam Clerk, we have a next order of business, please.
The next item is confirmation of new appointments.
All right, I will hand it over to Councilor Nolan.
Mr. President,
Oh, Councilor McCarthy.
I am going to recuse myself from this vote as someone that is on the list of appointees for this committee.
All right. Thank you, John, for disclaiming that. Back over to Councilor Nolan for the appointments.
All right, with that being said, we do have a few changes for conservation of new appointments to the Police Building Committee. We have Police Chief Ed Conley, Deputy Chief Joseph Fitzgerald, our CFO John Dunn, subcommittee, a school committee member, sorry, scratch, she has dropped out as well. Building Inspector Bill Sanborn, Officer Sean Bushy, Officer Heidi Fiello, Sergeant Joseph Balbo, IT Director Ryan Knowles, and our DPW Director Mike Hale. So on a committee recommendation on a motion by Council Blank, seconded by Council O'Hara. The Ordinance Administration Committee voted by roll call, 3 in favor, 0 opposed, to recommend the City Council appoint to the following to the Police Building Committee. And with the amendment to this. do have
Why
to
don't we,
vote?
why don't we move it first, Sean, and then we'll amend it.
All right, so Police Chief Ed Conley, Deputy Chief Joseph Fitzgerald, our CFO John Dunn, City Councilor John McCarthy, School Committee Member Melissa Textera Prince, the Building Inspector Bill Sanborn, Officer Sean Bushy, Officer Heidi Fiello, Sergeant Joseph Balbo, IT Director Ryan Knowles, and our DPW Director Michael Hale. And I so move.
Second.
All right, motion's been made by Councilor Nolan, seconded by Councilor O'Hara. Do we have any amendments? Councilor Gilman?
I'd like to amend the motion by deleting school committee member Melissa Texera Prince, and I so move.
Second.
All right, it's been moved by Councilor Gilman, seconded by Councilor Pat. Any discussion on the amendment? All right, seeing none. So my discussion part of is Melissa Prince has asked to withdraw from this due to a conflict of interest from her request. So that's why Councilor Gilman has deleted her name. So on the amendment to remove school committee member Melissa Texera Prince, I will call for the roll, and roll call tonight starts with Councilor Holmgren. She is not here this evening, so I will go to myself. On the amendment, Councilor LeBlanc, yes. Councilor Memhard,
Yes.
Councilor Nolan,
Yes.
Councilor O'Hara,
Yes.
Councilor Pat,
Yes.
Councilor Cox,
Yes.
and Councilor Gilman.
Yes.
All right, motion passes on a roll call vote of 6 in favor, 1 absent, and 1 recused. Did I forget anybody? Seems like
7 in favor.
7 in favor, I'm sorry. 7 in favor, 1 recused, and 1 absent. So back to the main motion. I would also like to make amendment to the main motion. I would like to remove the city councilor title from John McCarthy's name and just put John McCarthy in there, and I so move.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded by Councilor LeBlanc and Councilor Memhard. And my thought process on this, my discussion part, is I would not like to see John McCarthy step down from this board or this committee just because his term is ending on city council at the end of the year. He's probably got the most knowledge in the city about that building, and the next city council may appoint somebody to their wish to this committee. But just because John is a city councilor at this moment, I would not, it would be a disservice to the city to have him nullified at the end of his term. So that's why I want to remove the city councilor part of John McCarthy, just put John McCarthy on there so he stays a member of this. Any other discussion? All right, seeing none, I will call for the roll. Councilor LeBlanc, yes. Councilor Memhard,
Yes.
Councilor Nolan,
Yes.
Councilor O'Hara,
Yes.
Councilor Pat,
Yes.
Councilor Cox,
Yes.
Councilor Gilman.
Yes.
All right, motion passes on a roll call vote of 7 in favor, 1 recused, and 1 absent. All right, so now we're back to the main motion with the amendments. Is any other discussion on this? Does everybody understand the vote now? Councilor Nolan.
Does John McCarthy wish to still be on this list as amended?
I spoke with John earlier about this and he said yes. Yeah. Okay. So back to the main motion with the amendments, Councilor Cox.
I'm happy that we removed the city council part of him because I was going to ask if we were going to be able to put a citizen on the board for this, and I'm satisfied all the way around. And you know, in January, if somebody wants to put a counselor on, great. If not, we still have a member of the general public on it. So thank you.
Yep, I agree. It was, after we voted last Monday, I thought about it and I'm like, man, if John's not coming back, what happens to John? And I reached out to him and he said he would love to stay on the committee, even after being a city councilor. So
And he's a great resource to be there.
he is, exactly. That's why we're doing this evening. All right, so back to the main motion with the amendments. Does everybody understand? Okay, Councilor LeBlanc, yes. Councilor Nolan,
Yes.
Councilor O'Hara,
Yes.
Councilor Memhard,
Yes.
Councilor Pat,
Yes.
Councilor Cox,
Yes.
Councilor Gilman.
Yes.
Motion passes on a roll call vote of 7 in favor, 1 recused, and 1 absent. All right, awesome job, everyone. John, if you hear me, you can log back on. All right.
Or stay away for possible tonight.
All right, Madam Clerk, can we have the next order of business, please?
Next order is the consent agenda.
All right, are there any councilors that would like to remove anything from the consent agenda? Councilor Pat.
Yes, at the request of Councilor Cox, I'd like to remove the special, the public hearing for the parking on Prospect Square till the next meeting which is going to be on Wednesday, September 15th, the day after the primary election. So it'll be 2 weeks and a day after today. Or
Okay.
3 weeks, whatever.
Okay, you want to, we should make that an emotion to move it.
Okay, so moved to do that.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded to amend the consent agenda. Any other discussion? Anybody would like to move anything else? Councilor Gilman?
I just have a question of clarification. I don't understand that that is on the consent agenda. Isn't that part of our
It's on the-
scheduled public hearings tonight and not on the consent agenda?
We're just putting it out there so the public has a memo before we get to we'll do it formally when we get to the public hearing part. All right,
That's,
Yeah, I don't-
just want to
I
make
don't-
sure that we're clear on that. So that's
Yeah.
fine.
yeah.
So
no,
we just didn't want people to be sitting around, waiting to speak on the hearing. We wanted to let them know that it was going to be postponed.
Right, so Councilor Gilman is right. It's not on the consent agenda, so we're just doing the consent agenda. So this is a formal request information. All
Okay,
right.
thank you.
Yeah, I don't have the consent agenda in front. I mean, I don't have the consent agenda in front of me. I just have I do, but I'm going by the template. So anything else? Information, consent agenda? All right, so with the consent agenda, I'll entertain a motion as is.
So moved.
Second? Oh, sorry.
All right.
So
And-
moved, sorry. And I'll second it.
It's been
Councilor
moved by
Cox.
Councilor Cox, seconded by Councilor Gilman. All right, Madam Clerk, next order of business, please.
You need to do a roll call vote on accepting the consent agenda.
I'm sorry, we do. Councilor LeBlanc, yes. Councilor Nolan,
Yes.
Councilor Memhard,
Yes.
Councilor O'Hara,
Yes.
Councilor Pat,
Yes.
Councilor McCarthy,
Yes.
Councilor Cox,
Yes.
Councilor Gilman.
Yes,
Roll call of 8 in favor, 1 absent. And I have my list in front of me. I'm just doing it by looking at everybody. So I apologize if I'm out of alphabetical order. All right, Madam Clerk, next order of business, please.
That would be the Budget and Finance Standing Committee report of August 19th.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I'm going to hand it over to our Budget and Finance Chair, Councilor Melissa Cox.
Are you okay? Are
I'm
your-
hot. I had the air conditioner on. I shut it off. I'm like, yeah, I'm okay.
That's why my thing's moving behind me. I
I know.
So I put forward to consent agenda. Now you're messing me up. I put forward a consent agenda for your approval. Good Lord.
All right.
Objections, any questions? Seeing none, I move the budget and finance consent agenda.
Seconded. Melissa,
All
do you
right.
want to highlight some of the highlights?
Here we go. It's been moved by Counselor Cox, seconded by Counselor Memhard. Any discussion, Counselor Cox?
I just would like to bring to everybody's attention the plethora of funds that we're getting into the health department. $156,000 grants, no match. Another $150,000 grant, no match. And then a Cape Ann Community Foundation grant for 1,500. So we're doing nothing but bringing in money here.
All right, that's awesome. All right, so motion's been made for unanimous consent agenda for budget and finance by Counselor Cox, seconded by Counselor Memhard. Any other counselor discussion? All right, seeing none, I'll call for the roll. Counselor LeBlanc, yes. Counselor McCarthy,
Yes.
Counselor Memhard,
Yes.
Counselor Nolan,
Yes.
Counselor O'Hara,
Yes.
Counselor Pat,
yes,
Counselor Cox,
Yes.
and Counselor Gilman.
Yes,
Motion passes on a roll call of 8 in favor, 1 absent. So that makes it better when there's no recusing and I have to go through my head to do the alphabetical part of things. All right, Madam Clerk, next order of business, please.
That is the Ordinances and Administration Standing Committee report from the August 16th meeting.
All right, I'll hand it over to our Planning and Development Chair, Counselor Gilman.
so it was ordinance and administration, so you want me to read this because it was my motion?
Nope, I'm sorry, yeah.
Okay,
Oh, hold on 1 second. So
Counsel-
I skipped through this.
Okay.
This new template's messing me up a little bit here.
A lot of red ink.
it's
Yeah,
very.
it's messing me up. So we have a new template that we're going by here, everybody. So people in the audience, I like the old template better. So
Yep.
I'll hand it over to our Ordinance Administration Chair, Counselor Nolan.
Thank you, Councilor President. So one would be 2021-16, Councilor Gilman requests the City Council vote to extend the use of Plum Cove School as the Ward 4 Precinct 2 polling location for the September 14th, 2021 primary election and the November 2nd, 2021 municipal election and future elections. So the committee report was on a motion by the Ordinance Administration Committee, voted by roll call, 3 in favor, 0 opposed, to recommend in accordance with the change in the state election laws pursuant to Chapter 255 of the Acts of 2020, as amended by Chapter 5 of the Acts of 2021 on July 29th, 2021, that the City Council evaluate and report on whether such a change would have a desperate adverse impact to the polls on the basis of race, national origin, disability, income, or age, and not later than 3 days prior to changing the polling place, and make publicly available on the city's website at the office of the city clerk's report on its evaluation. And I so move.
Second.
Motion's been made by Counselor Nolan, seconded by Counselor O'Hara. We do have 2 motions for this. Counselor Gilman?
Yeah, I just would like to say 2 things. First of all, in terms of a narrative, first of all, it has been made very clear to us that there's no disparate adverse impact, because the moving of this from the Lanesville Community Center to the Plum Cove School is only about maybe a quarter of a mile away. So nothing really changes. What does change is the opportunity to have a more spacious, socially distant venue for the voting for these elections, as well as any future elections, which we wanted to cover. I also wanted to state that the school committee did vote on this to support this in early August. So it's been in front of them. And third, I just want to thank our city clerk, Joanne Sinos, for being so proactive with pushing this forward. She was really the initiator of all of this, was kind enough to put my name on it. I did help her with the thought process, but she did the lion's share of the work, and I wanted to make sure that she was credited for that. So I will be supporting this, and I hope the city council joins me. So thank you.
Thank you, Val. Any other council discussion? All right, seeing none, I will call for the roll. Counselor LeBlanc, yes. Counselor McCarthy,
Yes.
Counselor Memhard,
Yes.
Counselor Nolan,
Yes.
Counselor O'Hara,
Yes.
Counselor Pat,
Yes.
Counselor Cox,
Yes.
Counselor Gilman.
Yes,
Motion passes on a roll call vote of 8 in favor, 1 absent. Counselor Nolan, next motion, please.
On a motion by the Ordinance Administration Committee voted by roll call, 3 in favor, 0 opposed, to recommend, in accordance with the change of the state election laws pursuant to Chapter 255 of the Acts of 2020, as amended by Chapter 5 of the Acts of 2021 on July 19th, 2021, that the City Council vote to extend the use of Plum Cove School, 15 Hickory Street, as the Ward 4 Precinct 2 polling location for the September 14th, 2021 preliminary election and the November 2nd, 2021 municipal election and future elections, and I so move.
Second.
Motion's been made by Counselor Nolan, seconded by Counselor O'Hara. Any other discussion? Counselor Gilman.
I think I need to amend the motion. It's July 29th, 2021, not 19th. And I so move.
Second.
All right, so moved and seconded to amend. Okay, what was it, Val? July 29th, 2021?
Yes, I think it was mentioned that it was July 19th. I just want to be clear on that date. That's what I heard. If anybody tells me that that wasn't, I'll be glad to.
Yeah, maybe Council, I didn't really hear it. Maybe it was said, but that's fine. We can amend it to make sure it was in
Okay.
there.
Thank you.
All right, any discussion on it? Obviously, simple. Counselor LeBlanc, yes. Counselor McCarthy,
Yes.
Counselor Memhard,
Yes.
Counselor Nolan,
Yes.
Counselor O'Hara,
Yes.
Counselor Pat,
Yes.
Counselor Cox,
Yes.
Counselor Gilman.
Yes,
Motion passes to amend. Roll call of 8 in favor, 1 absent. Back to the main motion. Counselor Nolan, any other discussion? All right, seeing none. Counselor on the roll call, Counselor LeBlanc, yes. Counselor McCarthy,
Yes.
Counselor Memhard,
Yes.
Counselor Nolan,
Yes.
Counselor O'Hara,
Yes.
Counselor Pat,
Yes.
Counselor Cox,
Yes.
and Counselor Gilman.
yes.
Motion passes on a roll call vote of 8 in favor, 1 absent. All right, Madam Clerk, next order of business, please.
Planning and Development Standing Committee report from the August 18th meeting.
All right, now we're at planning and development. So I'm going to hand it over to our chair, Counselor Valerie Gilman.
Thank you. So for the special event permit application, request for street closures for ceremony on Shore Road on September 25th, 2021, I move that we withdraw this request.
Second.
All right, motion's been moved by Counselor Gilman, seconded by Counselor Nolan. Any discussion, counselors?
So this was a very, very thorough conversation, which was very much appreciated both by SEAC and P&D. This was something new, this request, and I really appreciate the detail that we went into. And this would have been something that it was about closing off a part of a private road with statutory public rights, but for a matter that wasn't for a 501c3 or something that would be giving back to the city. So it was precedent setting. And we had a really very a very collaborative conversation with the applicant and her fiance. And this was the decision that was made. So they're going to be working this out with police detail and will not be asking for closure. Thus the reason why the motion to withdraw. So,
Okay.
Yep.
Good.
thank you.
Good. I'm glad this was resolved before we got up here. All right, everybody understand what we're doing here? Which is withdrawing it. Councilor LeBlanc, yes. Councilor McCarthy,
Yes.
Councilor Memard,
Yes.
Councilor Nolan,
Yes.
Councilor O'Hara,
Yes.
Councilor Pett,
Yes.
Councilor Cox,
Yes.
and Councilor Gilman.
Yes,
Motion to withdraw passes on a roll call vote of 8 in favor, 1 absent. All right, you know, it was a good call bringing it up to the council, Val. Anytime anybody, city councilor has any issues at the committee level, bounce it up to council. We'll have a full-blown meeting up here and we'll hash it out up here. So that was a good call. Madam Clerk, can we have the next order of business, please?
Public hearing 2021-025, amend GCO Chapter 14, offenses and miscellaneous provisions, Section 14-11 reserved, by adding a new Section 14-11, bring your own bottle.
All right, so I would like to open the public hearing and ask if there's anybody that would like to speak in favor. If you are calling in on a phone, you can press *9. If you are watching on a computer or device, there is a raise hand button. Anybody would like to speak in favor, or we do have our city solicitor, Chip. There we are.
I'll go ahead and speak in favor, I suppose. I'll just give an introduction here. Mr. President, members of the City Council, thank you. Over the past several months, the chairwoman of the licensing board and the council president and I have had various conversations about drafting and passing a possible bring your own bottle ordinance. As I understand it, the law as it currently stands in Gloucester, as in other municipalities throughout the Commonwealth, is that since there's no BYOB ordinance, it's presumed that BYOB is legal. So this raises a number of concerns, most specifically that such a presumption means that there are no rules or regulations governing BYOB, let alone whether or not it should be allowed in the first place. The early sense from the chairwoman of the licensing board and her colleagues was that BYOB should be legal in Gloucester, but only under certain circumstances and with certain approvals. So the licensing board had me research what other communities in Massachusetts have done regarding BYOB ordinances. And we looked at Springfield, Boston, Amherst, Weston, and Greenfield, all which had pretty comprehensive BYOB procedures on the books. As a result of that, I compiled a list of issues to consider and met with the licensing board at one of their meetings over the summer. And after a lot of discussion, they made some concrete suggestions about what should be included in the ordinance. I drafted that ordinance and then sent it over to them. They reviewed it, made a couple small changes, but that's what's before you tonight. So the licensing board chair is here if she wants to weigh in, and also the police chief, who has a role in this if it comes to it. If he's here with if you have any questions too.
All right, thank you, Chip. Our licensing board chair, our birthday girl, I want to wish our licensing board chair, Melissa Prince, a very happy 28th birthday before we move forward.
Thank you, Steve. I appreciate it.
Would you like to speak in favor of this?
So yeah, I just want to say briefly, I mean, I asked Chip Hasten to speak on behalf tonight. He has a very thorough understanding of this ordinance. He has the legal knowledge behind it and advised us very well as we drafted this ordinance. This ordinance was drafted by myself, John Lamarand, who wanted to be here tonight, but unfortunately had another engagement. We had Assistant Chief Joe Fitzgerald and Sergeant Sean Connors that weighed in as well from a public safety perspective. And as you can see, we developed, like Chip said, a pretty comprehensive regulation that doesn't leave many questions unanswered, whether you're the permittee or the person that will be going into the establishment with their own booze. So from a public safety perspective, I wholeheartedly support and encourage you to adopt this regulation because it puts safety measures in place that we expect from our licensed restaurants, like the tip certification, the knowledge when not to allow someone to keep drinking if they're under the influence, having liquor liability insurance, things like that. You'll notice that this ordinance doesn't allow any alcohol besides malt and wine and beer. And there's a certain time frame on it as well, just to keep the peace in certain circumstances. So again, like I said, it's very comprehensive, answers questions most people would have about BYOB. And I just strongly encourage you to accept this regulation as written by City Solicitor Chip Hazen. And I truly appreciate his help on this. It was a tremendous amount of work in a very short period of time. And I appreciate all the efforts that he gave us to get this forward to you.
All right, thank you, Melissa. Anybody else that would like to speak in favor? Hold on, Barry, we're gonna get a council of questions shortly.
It wasn't a question of council question. I was going to ask, I saw that John Orlando was on the call and I thought I was going to ask him to weigh in, that's all.
Okay, hold on, is there anybody that would like to speak in favor or in opposition? John, now's your time. You don't have to wait.
Okay, so I'm here as the new member of the licensing board. I was not involved in the initial discussions, so I'm really here for information.
Okay. Anybody else that would like to speak in favor or in opposition? If you're calling in, there's a *9. You can press *9 to request to speak. If you're watching on a computer device, there is a raise hand button. Anybody else would like to speak in favor or in opposition? All right, seeing none. Madam Clerk, do we have any communications?
There are none.
All right, now we're to councilor questions. Any councilor questions? All right, seeing none. I don't have a question. I just have, well, I'll wait till after the committee report. No councilor questions. I will close the public hearing and call for the committee report. Councilor Nolan.
On a motion by the Ordinance Administration Committee voted by roll call, 3 in favor, 0 opposed, to recommend the City Council amend GCO Chapter 14, Offenses and Miscellaneous Provisions, Section 14 through 11, reserved by adding a new section 1411, bring your own bottle, as follows. Without any objections, I'd like to waive the minutes or the reading of the proposed amendment. I think we've all had enough time to go through this, and there's been a lot of work that has happened behind the scenes.
Yeah, it's quite extensive, and we've had it in our packet for quite a bit. I have no objection to waiving the reading, and if anybody that would in the public would like to view the meeting, it's in the packet, and you can follow along. All right. I think we
It's only 6 pages.
What's that?
It's only 6 pages.
Yeah, all right, Councilor Cox, take a stab at it if you like. Let's.
You let me read the budget all night.
I know. Why don't we take a roll call vote for the waiving of the reading, so that way we're not doing anything we're not supposed to be doing here. Councilor LeBlanc, yes. Councilor McCarthy.
Yes.
Councilor Memard.
Yes.
Councilor Nolan.
Yes.
Councilor O'Hara.
Yes.
Councilor Pett.
Yes.
Councilor Cox.
Yes.
And Councilor Gilman.
Yes.
All right, motion to Sean's request to waive the reading passes on a roll call vote of 8 in favor, 1 absent. So we do have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second.
All right. We have a second. All right, motion's been made and seconded. Any other discussion, council discussion? Councilor Pett.
Just thank you to Council Payson and to Sean and O&A and the licensing board, Melissa, happy birthday as well, et cetera, for this extensive work, et cetera, and bringing this forward. I think at the end of the day, hopefully it'll prevent Chief Conley and his troops having an issue with the public, because things will be spelled out very, very well. And I thank you all for your work.
Thank you, Barry. Anybody else? All right, I'm just gonna piggyback on top of, oh, go ahead, Sean. I'll wait for you.
I do want to thank the licensing board. I did speak with Melissa, and it is her birthday. I'd buy her a Porsche, but she already got one. For all their hard work, and this is something that's been going on for a while. And I know that they've worked on it hard, and I think this is a great decision and very dedicated staff for it.
Thanks, Sean. So I'm going to piggyback on these two guys. Melissa and I had a conversation, I don't even know, was it beginning of the year, maybe the end of last year, about this. We reached out to Chip. They did the bulk of the work. You know, we had a conversation earlier about the auditorium and old school. You know, I'm a little bit old school. This is kind of new school here. We have to come up with the times that are before us, and the accountability part. You know, it makes where somebody's going accountable with a restaurant or the establishment, and it's not what we're asking them to jump through hoops. We're not asking them to take out this huge, you know, burden on their business. It just allows them to serve alcohol or have alcohol consumed in their business with rules. So it holds accountability to the business, and holds accountability to the city, and I think this is good for everybody all around. I don't want to discourage people from not participating in bring your own alcohol, or you know, bring your own beer, wine, malt beverage. It's not hard liquor, just so everybody understands. But this is way overdue. And thank you, Chief and Chip and Melissa and everybody else who had their hands to get this where we're at today. It was a long time coming. So, you know, this is the new norm. There's going to be, we should all have T-shirts. This is the new norm. All right. Any other councilor discussion before we have to vote? Seeing none, I will call for the roll. Councilor LeBlanc, yes. Councilor McCarthy,
Yes.
Councilor Memhard,
Yes.
Councilor Nolan,
Yes.
Councilor O'Hara,
Yes.
Councilor Pat,
Yes.
Councilor Cox,
Yes.
Councilor Gilman.
Yes.
All right, motion passes on a roll call vote of 8 in favor, 1 absent. All right, Melissa, thank you for taking time out of your special day. Go off and have a good time.
Happy birthday.
Yeah,
Thank you all very much. I appreciate it. Have a great night.
You too. Thanks a lot.
Bye-bye.
All right, Madam Clerk, next order of business, please.
Hearing 2021-026, amend GCO Chapter 22, Section 22-70, parking prohibited at all times, and Section 22-291, tollway zones regarding Prospect Square.
All right, Councilor Pat.
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to put this off at the request of Councilor Cox. Has some residents that had some more input. We're going to meet later this week to discuss it. And I'd like to move it to the city council meeting of September 15th, Wednesday, September 15th, not Tuesday, the 14th. That's the primary date. So we'll be meeting then, and I'd so move to move it, that hearing to that date.
All right, it's been moved. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, it's been moved by Councilor Pat, seconded by Councilor O'Hara. Obviously, it's self-explanatory. Councilor LeBlanc, yes. Councilor McCarthy,
Yes.
Councilor Memhard,
Yes.
Councilor Nolan,
Yes.
Councilor O'Hara,
Yes.
Councilor Pat,
Yes.
Councilor Cox,
Yes.
and Councilor Gilman.
Yes.
Motion to postpone till September 15th passes on a roll call vote of 8 in favor, 1 absent. All right, Madam Clerk, next order of business, please.
For council vote, the warrant for the September 14th, 2021 municipal preliminary election.
All right,
So
so I'm, right, we may as well. So we'll do a little bit more formal. I'll move to adopt the warrant for the municipal preliminary elections to be held on September 14th, 2021.
Second,
All right, we have a motion and it moved and seconded by Councilor LeBlanc, Councilor Cox. Self-explanatory, everyone. Roll call, Councilor LeBlanc, yes. Councilor McCarthy,
Yes.
Councilor Memhard,
Yes.
Councilor Nolan,
Yes.
Councilor O'Hara,
Yes.
Councilor Pat,
Yes.
Councilor Cox,
yes.
Councilor Gilman.
Yes.
Motion passes on a roll call of 8 in favor, 1 absent.
Don't forget to go in and sign the document at City Hall in the clerk's office.
Yes. All right. And Madam Clerk, we have the next order of business, please.
For council vote, the decision to adopt special council permit 2021-003, Rogers Street number 9, map 7, lot 15, GZO section 2.3.49, restaurant with outdoor seating or with takeout constituting more than 20% of total business, 1.2.1 purpose, and 5.18 marine industrial district.
All right. Councilor Gilman, would you like to do this one or you want me to do it?
Sure, I'd love to. I move to adopt.
Second,
There you go. It's been moved and seconded by Councilor Gilman, seconded by Councilor Cox. Councilor, we'll do for the roll call. Councilor LeBlanc, yes. Councilor McCarthy,
Yes.
Councilor Memhard,
Yes.
Councilor Nolan,
Yes.
Councilor O'Hara,
Yes.
Councilor Pat,
Yes.
Yes.
Councilor Cox,
yes.
Councilor Gilman.
Yes.
Motion to adopt has been approved. Roll call, 8 in favor, 1 absent. Madam Clerk, next order of business, please.
For council vote, the decision to adopt special council permit 2021-001, Cross Street number 12, map 50, lot 18, GZO section 2.3.17, conversion to or new multifamily or apartment dwelling, 4 to 6 dwelling units.
All right, Councilor Gilman.
I move to adopt.
Second.
It's been moved by Councilor Gilman, seconded by Councilor Pat. I will call the roll. Councilor LeBlanc, yes. Councilor McCarthy,
Yes.
Councilor Memhard,
Yes.
Councilor Nolan,
Yes.
Councilor O'Hara,
Yes.
Councilor Pat,
Yes.
Councilor Cox,
Yes.
Councilor Gilman.
Yes.
Motion passes on a roll call vote of 8 in favor, 1 absent. Madam Clerk, next order of business, please.
There will be unfinished business, discussion only, city council discussion regarding resuming in-person meetings.
All right. I think we had a pretty good discussion on it earlier this evening. If anybody wants to touch on it, we can now, or we can revisit the first meeting in September. All right, we're good. Councilor Cox and then Councilor Pat.
I'd like to go ahead and weigh in now because I don't think I'm gonna be on the next meeting. 1 o'clock in Budapest does not sound like a fun time to be with you guys.
I
Sorry.
don't blame you.
So I think my hesitation to go back to full in-person meetings has some to do with the hybrid situation, but also equally to do with ventilation and safety protocols. All of our facilities get used a lot by a lot of different people. Most of our facilities are open to the public. So I just want to make sure that there's heavy sanitation being performed between the meetings. And I know that our custodians are already really busy with their normal tasks, but to add this stuff to it, in addition to their already sanitizing the public places and stuff is just, it's gonna be stressful and something that we need to work through. Ventilation is also an issue. It's one of the things that our schools are struggling with is having the right ventilation for proper social distancing and so on. And then in addition to that, I would like to see that we are, reporting if we are vaccinated, if we are not vaccinated, and then, anybody that's not vaccinated, encouraging or requiring them to wear a mask. And, those are my concerns. So
the ventilation, so what's wrong with the ventilation? Me bringing my personal fan and Sean bringing his personal fan and your personal fan, that's not good enough for ventilation? I'm just kidding.
it's good in my office, but
No, I agree. You know what? I don't miss those. Imagine being there tonight. Imagine the sticky.
oh, it's hot. Yeah.
Oh, God. I agree. I mean, you heard what I said earlier today.
Yeah.
This evening. I honestly, unless something changes next month or whatever going forward, we're probably going to stay like this for the rest of the year. Councilor
Right,
Pat?
but we are also stewards for the next group that are coming in January. And, I'd like to, like I said earlier, the parts and components to these things, these solutions are not going to be easy to get.
Right.
So the sooner we have the discussion and the plan, the better.
Gotcha. Councilor Pat?
Yeah, just, I think that, again, we did have a good conversation early, but I think it's very important that we keep on top of this. I think that we should keep it up on the list as unfinished business for discussion and input as Ryan, learns and comes up with some suggestions, as John Dunn said, says we have X number of dollars to work on things. Obviously, Kairos itself is, for us, is the most important space. It's very old, very out of date. It's sort of like our roads are for horses and buggies, not for cars. And work needs to be done. We need to spend money on it. And it's not just the city council that meets there. Again, the planning board, the zoning board, and other groups. So I'm just asking that we keep it on the unfinished business for at least for discussion. If someone has, ideas or something else, recommendations, to bring it up and continue that on a regular basis. And hopefully by April, we'll be in a much better place in the world and have some better, ideas and plans in place for our city.
Thank you, Barry. Like I said earlier, Grace, if we can just put this on the first of every month, moving forward, that way we'll have the discussion. Councilor Gilman, did you have your hand up?
Yeah, I just want to also suggest, I think that's a great idea. And I would really like to see if at that next meeting, we could also get a representative from 1623 to come in and just kind of start a little bit more of a collaborative conversation to keep them in the conversation. They're the ones that have always provided on-site live meetings, and I think it's just good to keep them in the know about what we're thinking. That's just my suggestion. Obviously, it's up to the council.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea. I'll reach out to them and request for our first meeting that we have maybe a short presentation like we did with Ryan today. So then when we do circle back to our unfinished business part of it, we can bounce a couple things off each other from that meeting. So I'll formally request that they come for our first meeting in September and let us know what they're doing with their updates for the auditorium and remote meetings.
Thank you.
Councilman Memard.
Just following up on that, and obviously, as you say, City Hall and the auditorium are used for multiple purposes, and we are our own body, but we rely on working with our city assets and having that as our common meeting space, having it as City Hall, the House of the People and all the rest. It would be helpful just to follow up at a future meeting on John Dunn's comments about the longer term coming restoration efforts on City Hall itself, so that we're up to date on that planning and a picture of what is in mind for the space, and making sure that we have an opportunity for input into what those plans are, so that how they affect us and our accessibility for the public are included in that planning process.
Thank you, Scott. I agree. I've been here 10 years. Melissa's been here 10 years. Val, what are you going on? 4 or 6? 6?
6.
6. Sean, 6. Scott, 6. You know, we've got some people that have been here quite a while that know the ins and outs of that auditorium, that could benefit in our opinion moving forward and what we would like to see. Like Melissa said earlier, you know, we got a council coming in. There's going to be a lot of new people in there. Some are going to have a little bit of experience, some are going to have none. So it's up to us to really help set the next council up, and not only the next council, future councils. So be a great example for us to move forward with the administration and really have our 2 cents before we've got 10 meetings left, council meetings. So our time is limited here. So I'll absolutely reach out to the administration and let them know that we'd like to weigh in on this too before the end of the year.
Thank you.
All right. Anybody else for this discussion? All right. Great job, everyone. Madam Clerk, next order of business, please.
Councilors' request to the mayor.
All right. So I'm going to pick on Councilor Cox first because I think she's got a great one.
Now I'm like racking my brain, like, what was that?
What did I say? I know, right? About the chairs, the dais.
I would like the administration to review the request to purchase individual desks for in exchange for the dais at Kairos Auditorium. I will do my best to locate a picture of the one in Ipswich, but they're individual desks. There's no plexiglass required. They are on rollers. They can be stored away for better use of the auditorium. And I don't know what our max body is. We have 9. I don't know about planning board or, you know, obviously we need 10 for the clerk and then whoever's recording minutes. We have, gosh, I think we are the biggest body.
Yeah.
So, I mean, as long as we have enough to cover the biggest body of that meets in there, I think it would be ideal. But I would appreciate somebody looking into the cost of that and getting back to us on whether or not it can be done. Thank you.
All right. My body's not that big. All right. Councilor Pat.
Yes, my request isn't to the mayor. My request is all to my fellow councilors and to anyone in the public that is listening. This Saturday is the annual Fisherman's Memorial Service. Begins at 5 p.m. With a procession from the Legion down to the Fisherman's statue where the ceremony will begin, and it'll all be over by 6 p.m. And our speaker this year is the grandson of the captain of the Albatross, which was lost 70 years ago when it was on its way back into Gloucester with its crew of 13 when it was struck by a tanker. The speaker's grandfather was the captain, and he was able to get the entire crew of 12 off onto the one lifeboat, and which some people actually had to cling on the side of the lifeboat. And the captain didn't want to go to overturn the lifeboat. And when the vessel sank, he ended up being sucked down under. So he was lost. The 12 other crew members all were saved, and there will even be pictures of those other 12 crew members, all from Gloucester. So people may know family members or friends of family members, again, from 70 years ago. Be a very interesting service, and we ask you to come join us if you're so desire. It's supposed to be the first nice day coming this week.
Thank you, Barry. That'd be interesting. And if anybody has Gap Lafada's number, can you email it to me or text me? I'm trying to get a hold of him. I sent him an email and he hasn't responded back. So I don't know if anybody on the council's got Gap's.
I might all look.
All right, thanks. Thanks, Scott. Councilor O'Hara.
Thank you. Just want to, we have another Red Cross blood drive at the Magnolia Library tomorrow. It has a full schedule, but we've added a new twist. We've incorporated New England Organ Donor Bank to the blood drives. They have representatives at the blood drives to educate people who aren't organ donors and to sign people who may be willing to become an organ donor up. So you're welcome to stop by. And the next blood drive is Tuesday, September 7th. And I know there are plenty of openings. And I ask people just to be considerate if you're going to take an opening, because the openings have been, we've been very fortunate that the schedules have been filling up, but the unfortunate part is many don't show up. So if you, I ask that if people are going to take the time to make an appointment, please either cancel or show up, because it's so many people want to participate and donate the gift of life. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Jamie. Councilor Nolan.
I have no questions for the administration, but I would like to almost piggyback off of Council O'Hara. The Magnolia Library is a community center that's been there for a long time for a lot of people through good times and bad. They have a capital improvement drive that they're working on right now. If I could reach out to people to share it on their Facebook for any donations that they could do, would be wonderful. Without this building, we wouldn't have elections in the area. We wouldn't have a space to gather for free community involvement, the blood drives, the donor drives. It's just a wonderful, wonderful community center. And they could use some help right now. So if anybody would look into that on their Facebook page or the magnolialibrary.org, I'd appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you, Sean. Council Memhard.
Thank you. First, I'd just like to thank Councilor O'Hara, thank Jamie for his inclusivity about the New England Donor Organ Donor Bank. Obviously, I'm somebody who has been a recipient and very grateful for the services like the blood draw, but the organ donation is just so crucial, and the technology of today's medicine is such that it is, but it relies on people to contribute and to donate. So thank you, and I'm glad that our Magnolia group is right on top of that. For the mayor, and also for my fellow councilors, two issues here in East Gloucester and Ward 1. I am aware, and many of you may be as well, that we're in the typical fall issue of lifeguards being in short supply. And this year is the same or worse perhaps than in other years. And I know that the administration and DPW have been able to find alternative staffing solutions to departing students to help provide some coverage at our major beaches. But as of right now, I believe that Wintersheek has some coverage during the week, and they're trying to provide coverage both at Wintersheek and Good Harbor on the weekends, and that's about the extent of it. So I'm concerned that we all be aware of that. That's communicated properly to our residents and also to people visiting, and keep us up to date if there are any possible scenarios for beefing up the fall lifeguard coverage. I know in past years we have used EMTs or other qualified coverage and been able to find a way of paying for that. Secondly, we've had a chronic issue at Good Harbor Beach and in the so-called Saratoga Creek with E. coli contamination, which has resulted in the creek being posted as off limits and unsafe for swimming in. And that's, it's happened occasionally in past years, but it hasn't happened all summer long the way it has happened this year, when obviously the beaches have been in very high demand and popular demand. So we have postings. I'm just concerned that we all be kept aware through the Board of Health and the DPW about resolution of that, and also making sure that people are properly informed so that we don't have any people getting sick as a result of this particular problem. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. Councilor McCarthy.
Yes, back at our BNF meeting on August 5th, myself and Councilor Menhard submitted a bunch of questions to the administration. We followed that up in writing the next day. There's been very little response to these questions. The general counsel said that he wasn't involved in the issue and he didn't know anything about it. I just renew our request to have these questions answered. This is about an HR investigation. I think we have the right to know and have answers to those questions. And if they're not going to answer them, please tell us that you're not going to answer them, and maybe we would invoke our power to bring the HR director or the investigator in front of the council. Thank you.
All right, thank you, John. Councilor Gilman.
So I have three things. First of all, if you haven't seen Coda, you've got to go see it. It is the best movie my husband and I have ever seen. And you will be so proud to see so many parts of Gloucester in the movie. And if you don't want to go to the movie theater, you can get it on Apple TV. But it was just amazing. I'm still in awe. I have two kind of requests that I just wanted to bounce off of you. First of all, I am living right now in the issues of private road repair, as well as the issue of public roads and how we can begin to start gradually adding onto that again. And I guess I would like to suggest that maybe it's time to have another Mike Hale presentation with all of us on the city council. It's not just in my ward, it's people all over the city are talking about Beach Road and Brightside. And I mean, it's just something that we need to talk about. And I think it would be really helpful. There are a lot of new people that are running for office and they're hearing this from our constituents as well. And Mike did such a fine job the last time, kind of giving us all an update on it. And there's some new things that we might want to talk about. For example, if there's a possibility for increased infrastructure funding from the federal government coming down to Massachusetts, maybe there's an opportunity to lobby for more Chapter 90. So it's just an opportunity where I think it would be really helpful for us to gather together and listen to Mike again so we can have this conversation. So I asked Councilor LeBlanc if you would consider that as a possible matter that would be really helpful to put on a council meeting. And then my last matter is a little bit, it's kind of on the same note of just needing to focus a little bit of extra attention, and that's on the issue of coyotes. We, particularly in this ward right now, we're just totally overwhelmed with coyotes everywhere. And I'm very comfortable with the protocol, but there are a lot of people that are not. And I think it might be really helpful. Chief Conley did a great job putting me in touch with animal control, and animal control have given me several groups that are willing to come in and do a Zoom forum. And I'm thinking that maybe that would be timely. And if this council wanted me to help organize that, I would be happy to do that. I would just need a person to schedule the Zoom meeting. But I have the material, and I think we could just have a panel Either that, or we could just refer it to the Animal Advisory Board and ask Councilor Memard to take a leadership role in that, so it doesn't have to be my issue to bring forward, rather the group that can really talk about it. But there've been a fair amount of small animals that have been attacked. Some, you know, I just swallowed a bug. I think that's someone telling me to shut up, but I literally just swallowed a bug. Oh my God.
All right.
But anyway, I'm just thinking that maybe referring it to the Animal Advisory Board would be a good thing, and know that I've got the material from both Jamie and forgetting the other woman's name, but
Coming your way.
yeah. Oh my God, it didn't taste good at all.
Poor
Greatest
Grace had to get off camera.
technology is that
All
I just
laughing.
swallowed a bug, and because I think you guys are just set that bug up because you want me to stop talking. So
We need a bigger bug.
Chief, you got 4 more months to give me a hard
Oh,
time.
God. All right.
Go for it.
All right. Thank you, Val. All right, so last but not least is myself, and my request to the mayor is piggyback on what Councilor Cox said earlier, update us on the progress. Ryan was here before us tonight, and he did a very good presentation, and he did a very good job of keeping what he was here for this evening on topic. But I would like the administration to let us know what we are doing to upgrade the auditorium. Not only what Melissa talked about was getting personal seats, but IT wise, you know, this is the future. This is what we're gonna have to do. And we need to do it regardless of whether it's $80,000 or $100,000. These remote meetings are a slam dunk. They're twice as effective as in-person meetings. And I think that moving forward, if the auditorium is updated and we could do these, then so be it. So that's my request, to find out where we are in the timeline as to when it will be updated, so we can hold not only council meetings, but you know, the other meetings that go on up there. All right, anything else before we leave? Any other unfinished business? All right, Val, go get a glass of water so you don't choke. So I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
It's been moved. We have a second? I'll Second. All right. Councilor LeBlanc, yes. Councilor McCarthy,
Yes.
Councilor Memhard,
Good night, yes.
Councilor Nolan,
Yes.
Councilor O'Hara,
Yes.
Councilor Pat,
Yes.
Councilor Cox.
Yes.
Councilor Gilman. Oh, you're on.
Yes.
There we go. Motion to adjourn is on a roll call of 8 in favor, 1 absent. Great job tonight, Grace. And Scott, if you've got GAP's number, can you send it along to me?
I'll give it a look, yeah.
All right. Good night, everyone. Have a good week.
Good night. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.